All right, let's get you ready for your organizational behavior exam. To really nail this section, you have to understand the difference between a group and a team. So in this deep dive, we're going to break down everything you need to know, focusing on those core concepts that will definitely show up on your test.
So let's jump right into the single most important concept you have to master for this topic. What is the critical difference between a group and a team? It sounds simple, but the details are everything.
Okay, first things first, we have to get our definitions straight. This is exactly the kind of precision they'll be looking for on your exam.
So, what is a group? Well, think of it as a bunch of people who work alongside each other. You know, like a study group where everyone brings their own notes. The final result is basically just the sum of everyone's individual effort.
A team, on the other hand, takes things to a whole new level. It's a special kind of group where there's a really strong sense of interdependence, and this is the key word, shared accountability. Here, the performance creates what we call positive synergy. The whole is way greater than the sum of its parts.
Now, this chart right here, this is exam gold. Look at the differences. A group's goal is just sharing info, while a team is all about collective performance. And see that shift from individual accountability to mutual accountability? That's the distinction you absolutely have to remember.
Okay, so knowing the difference is step one, but the real trick, and what a lot of questions will be about, is how you actually build a team that works. Let's look at the blueprint for that.
So what makes a team effective? Well, it's not just about getting the job done on time. It also needs to have something called team viability. Basically, that just means the members would actually want to work together again in the future. Plus, every person on the team should feel like they learned something and are satisfied with the experience.
All right, when you're putting a team together, one of the very first questions that comes up is about its size. So, does it really matter? Oh, you bet it does.
Here's the number you need to burn into your brain: 4 to 6 members. That's the sweet spot. It's big enough for different viewpoints, but small enough to avoid all the coordination headaches and that classic problem of social loafing.
Now, let's talk about diversity in teams. This one's tricky because it's a real double-edged sword. On one hand, it can be a massive advantage. You get better problem solving, more creativity. But if you don't manage it carefully, it can also lead to communication problems and even create little us versus them cliques.
You have to remember that teams don't just pop into existence fully formed. Nope, they evolve. And understanding their life cycle is absolutely crucial for managing them.
And this is the famous model you have to know, Tuckman's stages. Teams start out in forming, where everyone's a bit uncertain. Then comes storming, which is that necessary period of conflict. If they get through that, they hit norming, and then finally performing. But here's the thing, it's not always a straight line. Teams can totally get stuck in a stage or even slide backward.
So, we know how teams are built and how they grow. Now let's get into the really interesting stuff, those internal forces that are always at play. These are the dynamics that can make a team absolutely amazing or cause it to completely fall apart.
First up is social loafing. You probably know it as the free rider problem. Come on, we've all seen this in a university project, right? It's that one person who slacks off because they figure their individual effort won't really be noticed in the group. It's a huge challenge for any team. Next up is groupthink. Now, this is a major concept for exams, so pay attention. Groupthink is what happens when everyone wants to agree so badly that they just stop thinking critically. The desire for harmony literally overrides good decision-making.
And this right here, this is the little voice inside someone's head when groupthink is taking over. They might have a really valid concern, but that social pressure to just go along with the crowd is way too strong. That fear of rocking the boat leads to some truly terrible decisions.
So, conflict is going to happen, but here's a crucial point. Not all conflict is bad. A little bit of task conflict, disagreeing about the work itself, can actually lead to better ideas. Relationship conflict, though, that's just personal friction, and it's almost always destructive.
When you're managing that conflict, take a look at these styles. Notice how a problem-solving approach leads to high performance. But a forcing style, where one person just imposes their will, well, that's just a recipe for more conflict down the road.
Okay, before we do our final rapid-fire recap, just a quick note. If you really want to test yourself on all these concepts to make sure they stick, you can find the full summary and a bunch of practice tests over at gradeguru.nl. It's a great way to get exam ready.
All right, let's wrap this up.
Let's boil everything down to the absolute must-know points. This is your final cheat sheet for the exam.
Okay, here we go. 1. Teams versus groups. Remember, it's all about mutual accountability and positive synergy. 2. Team size. The magic number is 4 to 6. 3. Team stages. You gotta know: forming, storming, norming, performing. 4. Groupthink. That's when conformity kills critical thinking. And 5. Conflict. Task conflict can be good. Relationship conflict is almost always bad. Get those 5 points down cold.
So, to really make this knowledge stick, here's a final challenge for you. Think back to a dysfunctional project group you were in. We've all been there. How would you redesign it using just one principle we talked about today? Actually applying this stuff is the best way to learn it. Good luck with your studies.